Hello everyone, welcome to another video. Today hi motion 1D to calculate graphs. Temhat engka aliauten. Previous video or distance, displacement, velocity, speed, acceleration involve ho chana. Hi jo banjam chong hiting tin same hi formula ho chu graphs ana iti hai do ding ham. Hi jo chaviauten. Okay, so we'll solve some more questions again. So let's start. First, must pena chu velocity formula chipita or speed formula chu v equals to dx by dt chula na dx by dt chupitina say before we go into that, so we have done dy by dx differential calculus bolo chula na differential calculus dy by dx kiti hi pitina. So what does this means? Suppose I have a graph, okay. X and y graph. Now x versus y, y versus x graph. So here, suppose I have a some line is here. I take 2 points. Suppose I have 2 points, A and B. Okay. So I have 2 points A and B. So here, say x1, x2, y1, y2. Have a basic slope evolves, slope of a line. It's a slope of a line to it. Suppose I have a graph here, y and x. Okay, so here I have point A and B. So A is how much? A he x1, y1. Na. So x1, y1. Abana B could be x2, y2. Okay, so here you see this triangle. Okay, so it's a light triangle pahina AB, so let's say C. Triangle ABC here. Suppose the straight line makes an angle theta with the horizontal na. Kutile jelai triangle azong hi angle A hi theta chula na. Okay, kutile jelai triangle hi BC hi is them BC hi. So what is BC? So here BC is nothing but y2 minus y1. Na, hechi y2 ako na hi y1 hi subtract bola on remaining part to y2 minus y1. Jechu pia BC chula na. Okay, and similarly, anu lang hi value chun. So this is what x2 minus x1. Okay, so AC is x2 minus x1, BC is y2 minus y1. Kutila jelai triangle hi tan theta is ham. So what is tan theta? Tan theta is nothing but BC divided by AC. As is A to theta chula na. Okay, so here what is BC? BC is nothing but y2 minus y1. So what is AC? AC is x2 minus x1. Okay, about that tan theta tan theta is nothing but the slope, right? Okay, so here see what is y2 minus y1? Y2 minus y1 to change in y chula na. So that is dy. So what is x2 minus x1? Dx. Okay. Abana kasi banga so tan theta tan theta is nothing but slope. Slope chula na basic ibolo so. Okay, so simply here you can see that the slope is equals to dy by dx. Okay. So dy by dx basically means slope of the line in a y versus x graph. Okay. So let's write that point. So here dy by dx, right, is equals to, okay, slope of a line in yx graph. Okay. Now dy by dx to piham dele x y versus x graph line khat omale line pass slope chuna. So that slope is called dy by dx. Okay. So that is the concept of dy by dx. Hodele abana hi speed chipita distance. Okay, not like this. So v is equals to dx by dt. Okay, so now we have the similar formula na. As well as dy by dx in user to hi value dx by dt. Okay, so I will simply write the result here. So what is dx by dt? So here dx by dt is equals to slope of a line in xt graph. Okay, so slope of a line in xt graph. Suppose you're given a graph, so that is x versus t. Okay, so x versus t graph. So here you have some line. Nah. Okay, then now what is dx by dt? Dx by dt so the slope of this line. So here you'll have dx, you have dt. Okay, so the slope of this line is nothing but dx by dt. About dx by dt velocity. So what does this mean? So this means that velocity is equals to the slope of a line in x versus t graph. Okay, so you can also write like that. So also you can write velocity is equals to slope of a line in xt graph. Okay, right? Okay, so then next you similarly v equals to dx by dt tabang charachu acceleration chupita dv by dt chulana. Okay, so what is this? So same thing, dv by dt chupitina. So dv by dt is nothing but slope of line in vt graphs. Na as a concept also apply wala chalajon ki bangcho. Okay, so similarly I can say that acceleration, okay, so is equals to slope of a line in vt graphs. Okay, now so if you are given a velocity versus time graph, okay, so you have some curve or some line is here. Acceleration you have to find the slope of this line. Okay, so slope of this line will give you the acceleration. Okay, so so v equals to dx by dt is a equals to dv by dt. Okay, so basically those two. V equals to dx by dt. Okay, so now let's do one thing here. So here what I will do is I will transfer this here. So I will have dx is equals to v into dt. So now what you do is you integrate both sides. Integrate both sides. So integral dx equals to integral v dt. Integration of dx to x cholana. So x is equals to integral v dt. Okay, so we have one relation here. To have relation integral calculus ta cholana. Okay, so now you have an integral sign. So whenever you have integral sign, integration basically means what? Area. Okay. Now I will just write the result directly. Okay. So here integral v dt is equal to area under curve or line in vt graphs. Now integral v dt in a vt graphs, if you find the area under the line, okay, so that will give you the integral v dt. Now integral v dt so this is nothing but x, right? So what is x? Distance. Okay, so that means distance is given by the area under the line or the curve in a vt graphs. So okay, that is the first result. So similarly v acceleration, so dv by dt chulana. Okay, so if you do the same thing, so you transfer this here, so dv equals to a into dt, integrate both sides. Okay, so what will you have? Integral dv equals to a dt, integral a dt. So integrate both sides. So you have v equals to integral a into dt. Okay, so you have the same relation, integral a dt. So what does integral a dt means? Integral a dt is equals to area under line or curve in a t graphs. Okay, kotele integral a dt chu piham. So this is nothing but v, na. So that means in an AT graph, so v, that means velocity or speed will be given by the area under the curve or the line. Okay, so remember. Kutile, so let's go back and summarize. So if you have a x versus t graph, if you have x versus t graph, so v will be given by dx by dt. So dx by dt is nothing but slope. Okay, so slope of the line in x versus t graph will give you the velocity. Okay, and what is the next? So if you have v versus t graph, v versus t graph, so the acceleration, that means dv by dt, will be given by the slope of line in vt graph. Okay, so that is the second thing. Third, so if you have a v versus t graph, so if you have v versus t graph, so here distance will be given by the area under the curve. Okay, so in v versus t graph, distance will be given by area under the line. That is the third point. Fourth point, if you have a versus t graph, acceleration versus time graph, so here velocity v will be given by the area under the curve. Okay, so that is fourth point. Okay, so remember those 4 points. So let's do some questions on those 4 points. Okay, first question. Japan here NEET 2022 question in. Okay, so let's see the displacement time graph of two moving particles A and B. So they make angles 30 and 45. Okay, so what is the ratio of their respective velocity? As also because if you are given displacement to x or s whatever you want, versus t, x versus t haokipiit v chu piha dx by dt cholana. So what is dx by dt? So this is nothing but slope. Okay, so slope, what is slope? Nothing but tan theta, right? Okay, so we just have to compare the slopes. So here velocity va is nothing but the slope of a. Okay, so what is the slope of a? Tan of how much? A has angle, so like a have value, it's a line pahina, it makes angle how much? 30 degree here na. Okay, so tan 30 degree, so which is nothing but 1 by root 3. So similarly vb to that slope of b to tan 45 na to 1. Okay, so therefore what is va by vb? So that is nothing but slope a by slope b to 1 by 3. Okay, what the let's say slope a by slope b to slope a to that slope a to 1 by root 3, slope b to 1 na. So which is nothing but 1 by root 3, or you can say 1 is to root 3. Okay, so option A. So simple na, a basic parts on head vale. So this is a very simple question. Let's move. Next question, same year NEET question mama na. Okay, so here the figure given below shows displacement versus time, x versus t. Okay, x versus t graph is given. So they ask you the correct statement about the motion of the particle is option A. The particle moves with constant velocity up to time t naught and then stops. Okay, constant velocity to the palum diham. See, velocity to pita dx by dt churana. Okay, so dx by dt to piham. So this is slope. Okay, so if slope is constant, then the velocity is constant. As it's slope to velocity churana. Slope ake khellawale velocity jong khellawle tnecho. Tu hinchilaya he t naught chan he velauchan. So from let's say A to B. Okay, so you see, so here angle theta, let's say, is level see in all these points, if you see, the angle is always the same, theta. Na ya pat b chen kho vela chun align kho ta hi nam penga chi tau chara na. So if you see the angle with the x-axis, it is the same thing. Ibola angle with x-axis no whole ham tele slope pa chu ipita tan theta chara na. So if theta is not changing, then tan theta is not changing. So that means the slope is constant. Okay, it is not changing. Khotila chun a first part hi d chara na. Time t not chan chu vela chun a slope pa hi. So it is the same. The line goes uniformly. Okay, so slope is constant. Abana t not zo hi ipitia. So now you have a line parallel to the x-axis. Okay, so that means if a line is parallel to the x-axis, angle between them is 0. Okay, so tan 0 is 0, so slope is 0 here. Okay, so slope is 0. So if slope is 0, so that means velocity is also 0. Okay, so that means the first option is correct. So you can just go through and check then. Okay, so so till t naught velocity is constant, and after t naught it stops. Next question. Figure shows that the graph x coordinate a particle along the x-axis is a function of time. Question should be the average velocity from 0 to 10 seconds. Okay, let's do that one first. Average velocity formula should be the so total displacement by total time. Na displacement should be ha. Then 0 up 10 chanchola na 10 nahi beto. Okay, one more thing here. So it is going along x-axis. Okay, that means a straight path. Na straight path achi lechun most on hi chun chilai ki panjana la hi origin ahe abana ki panhla pa chia abana 50 chan cover chula na 50 chan cover abana ta chi ki na 10 nahi vela chun chilai je 10 nahi. Finally it covers 100 meter. Okay, so you can see that the particle covers 100 meter in 10 seconds. Okay, divided by 10, so that means 10 meter per second. So this is the average velocity. Okay, and b part. So what is the instantaneous velocity at 2, 5, 8 and 12 seconds? Instantaneous velocity to pm v equals to dx by dt. That's the same concept I'm going to apply. Dx by dt to in x versus t graph, the slope of a line. Now slope of a line too, so that is called velocity. Okay, so now let's see at t equals to 2. 2 to so 2 is somewhere here. Okay, so 2 is somewhere here. So that means you have to find the slope of this line. Now is that it? Like slope so you can see this is 50, this is 2.5. So tan theta is 50 by 2.5. So I'll write here t equals to 2 seconds. So v is equals to, so 50 divided by 2.5. So how much is this? You have 20. Okay, so 20 meter per second. Right, abana chepiham t equals to 5 seconds. 5 seconds so it is here. Okay, so 5 seconds nahi vela chun hichivta chilain pa hi x axis to parallel chalana parallel hi la chun angle chu is so it makes 0 degree with the x-axis, so that means the slope is 0. Na slope 0 hi la chun, so velocity is also 0. So t equals to 5 seconds achu v is 0. Okay, v0 particle is at rest. Abana chupya 8 seconds. 8 seconds to somewhere here. Okay, khotila chun chilai hi. Okay, so now this line. Na it's a line hi vela chun. So now you see you have some slope again. Itine kakra diu ha. So I'll write here, I'll just use different color. Okay, so in this triangle, na P, Q, R. QR is that like QR here 50, PQ is that PQ here 7.5 up at 10 and so 2.5 na. Okay, 2.5. Okay, so t equals to 8 seconds achu v is at the slope line slope pa whole so QR divided by PQ na QR to 50, PQ to 2.5. So same thing, 20 meter per second. Okay, and finally at 12 seconds. 12 seconds so 12 seconds is here. Okay, so here. Nah, see here you have this triangle. Okay, so you can use this triangle to find out the slope. So here I have the triangle. So this is 10, so this is 15, and this is 100. Okay, so salang 100 na. Okay, so you focus on this triangle. So this triangle. Okay, so this part. Yeah. Kotile example chi theta hele chun 10 theta chu jara lai slope chu. So 10 theta is equals to 100 divided by 5. So which is nothing but 10 meter per second. Okay. Now so at t equals to, so right here 12 second v2 is anham chila hi velocity kiti cho. So one thing basic maths positive slope to negative slope bi bol chula na. So here you see the line is like this, so it is tilted towards the left side, so that means it is a negative slope. Okay, so it is a negative slope because it makes angle greater than 90 with the x-axis. Okay, so therefore the velocity will be minus how much? 20 meter per second. Okay, so let's move on to next question, question number 4. So here this is also a question from HEV. Okay, from you're given velocity time graph, so they ask you to find the distance traveled by the particle during the first 40 seconds. Okay, see from 0 to 20 and from 20 to 40 I can split this into two. So remember concept se pita bolang ase paucho athum na paucho. If you have v versus t graph, na velocity versus time graph na nahi wale distance iting potta. So distance is equals to integral v dt. So here na integral phala chun, it means area. Okay, so if I want to find out the distance from 0 to 20, I have to find out the area of whatever area is under the curve or the line. Okay, how much is this from 0 to 20? It is a triangle, na? Triangle formula chapiha half base into height. Half into base is at 20, height is at 5. So this is 50 meter. Okay, so from t equals to 0 to t equals to 20, so distance is 50 meter. Yeah. Okay, from t equals to 20 to t equals to 40. Okay, so what is the distance? Area no whole kit ngai chula na jalai ka hi. So half into, okay, so half into base to zaram base to 20 mama na 20 apara 40 chanjo 20 mama into to ya high pa hebila chun minus 5. Okay, so how much will you have here? Minus 50. Okay, so from 20 to 40, what is the distance? Distance to 50 evan displacement pasana, so that will be minus 50. Okay, so here they ask you first part na distance ang 0 to 20 as of distance to 50 meter, 20 to 40 as of distance to 50 meter. Minus okay, because it is better to define the directions also. But plus 50 to minus 50 hipitina. So here it means that if I go from origin, okay, I will cover 50 meter, and then after 20 seconds I come back and cover 50 meter. Okay, so this is what it means. Yeah, kutila displacement is only them. So if I start from one point, go 50 meter, okay, I start from one point, go 50 meter, and come back 50 meter. So I'm going to the kalun namama kakipat namama kalun kit na. Okay, so therefore displacement is 0. Okay, question is asking what is the average velocity during this period. The average velocity to formula is pita. So displacement divided by time na. Displacement to 0 helachun, so it becomes 0. Okay, average velocity is also 0. Okay, so next question. So another question from HCV. The speed of a car as a function of time is shown in the figure. Find the distance traveled by the particle at the car in 8 seconds. Okay. chilai origin apana hi 8 second chilai chan hi. Okay, so up to this question chun distance ado chulai na graph se pkpm v versus t graph ki pi cha. Okay, so in a v versus t graph, so what is the distance? Integral v dt. So there is nothing but area. Okay, so in a v versus t graph, if you find the area under the curve, you have the distance. So simply find out the area. Inside item chila hi. It's a right triangle na si. So this is a right triangle. Okay, so this is triangle area triangle to half base into height. So solve that. Half into base goes at 8, height goes at 20. So how much is this? 80 meter. Okay, so this is your distance traveled in the 8 second. And here you can see one more thing. So they ask acceleration also. Okay, so if you have a v versus t graph, so acceleration is given by what? Acceleration is dv by dt chala na. So that means in v versus t graph, so the slope is the acceleration. Now slope is 80 hold ham. So here this part is how much? So this is 20. Okay, but x lang asu ha, x lang asu 8. Okay, so if this is theta, so what is tan theta? Tan theta is 20 divided by 8. Okay, so that is the slope. Now how much is this? For 5 are 20, for 2 are 8. So 5 by 2 or 2.5 meter per second squared. So that is your acceleration. Okay, next. Okay, so this one I will not do because it is the same question as previous. So he NEET 2024 question here. A question here valuation it is exactly same as the one which we solved before. Hichi question here achiever ma kuna kana do haisa. Now you see the same question is asked in medical exam. Okay, so this is why I recommend again and again to solve question from achiever ma. So what is the answer for this one? We have done. You have to find area of this one. Na question chun pi do distance of the. So distance in v versus t graph. So here it is v. Okay, v versus t graph. So that is the area under the line or the curve. Okay, so which is how much? So half into 8 into 20. So that means 8 meter. Okay, 80 meter. So that is your answer. Okay, so next question. So this is a Z-mains question 2 na 2025 January langa first session wana kidong pa. So here you have a v versus t graph. Okay, velocity versus t graph, and they ask you what distance covered. Okay, from t equals to 0 to t equals to 4 seconds. Now para b chan here. Okay, so here formula of the x equals to integral v dt. So in a v versus t graph, distance is given by the area under the line. So simply find that one. The first part here area is half into base 2, height to 10. Now, so how much is this? 10 meter. Now second part choose second part here area is so second part here value rectangle. Okay, so rectangle is length into breadth. The length to 2, breadth to 10. Okay, so how much is this? 2 10 are 20. Question chun 0 upon 4 second na. So that means from here to here. Okay, so only this part area you have to find out. The total area so 10 plus 20. Okay, so that means 30. Total distance traveled is 30. So simple question na. Okay, next question. Another question from G-mains. The motion of airplane is represented by so you're given v versus t graph, velocity time graph. Question should be distance covered by airplane in the first 30.5 second. 30.5 so hilai so till here. Okay, so till here. So 30.5. The distance of the area and hold you. Okay, you have to simply find out the area. So how do you find out from 0? So here I can split this. I have one triangle here. So let's say area 1. I have one rectangle here, area 2. I have a big rectangle here, area 3. Okay, so you simply find all this area. First part is at half into base 2 into height to 200. From 200 to 400, the difference is 200. So this is how much? 200. Okay. abana 2 na 2 part hi zat ham rectangle chole na length into breadth, so 2 into 200, so this is 400. Okay, abana chu third so jong rectangle na big rectangle, so the 2 apana 30.5 chan chu zat ham, so how much is this? So it should be 28.5, right, into a san lang hi zat ha 400. Okay, so this is 28.5. So you solve this, how much you get? So for 5 are 20, so 2850 into 4. So for 0 are 0, for 5 are 20, for 8 are 32, 30, 34, for 2 are 8, 9, 10, 11. Okay, so let's solve all of this. So now you add all of this. One income lesson ponam. So 11400, and then you have 400, and then you have 200. So 0, 0, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 1. Okay, meter. Question in terms of kilometer teacher na. So this is 12 kilometer. Okay, so answer option A. Okay, so next. Okay, now you're given x versus t graph. Okay, and then they ask you acceleration. Na hichi hevelation azawa point li concept li bol na la was zaw lo piso na x versus t graph acceleration piham. Okay, so here you have to use your mind a little bit. Acceleration to pita. So acceleration is nothing but dv by dt. Okay, so which is nothing but change in velocity. If velocity ki khela le acceleration tina cha. Okay, so if velocity change, so that is because of acceleration. Na kutile velocity chu ti phal ke khel ham. So what does change in velocity means? So change in velocity means so the change in slope of x t graph. Na x versus t graph slope line pa na it's a line pa slope so ke khela le, so there you have acceleration. Okay, so yes, let's see here. Kutile first option A hi vilaujon. Option A hi, suppose I take 2 points A and B. Na point A lai hi tangent khat draw leng. Okay, so like this. So let's say theta 1. Okay, and at point B I draw another tangent. So let's say this is theta 2. Kutile vilaujon theta 1 to theta 2 ki bang lo picture na. So it is changing. Theta is changing, which means tan theta is changing. So which means the slope is changing. Okay, so that means the velocity is changing in option A. Okay, so option A, velocity is changing, so that means there is acceleration, so there is a chance. Okay, di mai thai na abana option B cha vekil lechun B ajong hi velechun. Okay, I take 2 points A and B. A pa he tangent ka draw le, suppose this is theta 1. B hi tangent ka draw le, suppose let's say this is theta 2. Okay, theta 1 to theta 2 ki bang lo na. Okay, so that means here hi acceleration so there is acceleration. Okay, but it is not the correct answer yet. We have to find about option C here. So in option C, if you see, so I take 2 points A and B. A ajong tangent draw lechun theta 1, B ajong hi draw lechun theta 2. Kutile chila hi theta 1 to theta 2 ki bang na, because it is a straight line. Okay, so the slope is not changing. So theta 1. So that means this is wrong. Slope is constant in option C, so that means acceleration is 0. Abana same thing. D ajong hi vilaujon, so it is a straight line, so that means the slope is not changing. Theta theta. Okay, so if the slope is not changing, acceleration is 0. Aji velocity is constant. Kutile A to B hi which pen hindi diam. So question chun pido ha positive acceleration ati cho. Na A is equals to dv by dt. Okay, so which is nothing but v final minus v initial by t final minus t initial. Kutile hi v final pa hi v initial sang alit zo ale Okay, so tell me what is the sign of the acceleration. So if v final is greater than v initial, so obviously this will be positive. Okay, so a will be positive. But if v final is less than v initial, so that means if v is decreasing, then a is negative. Okay, and if v is increasing, a is positive. Okay, slope chupita. Slope is nothing but m, so that means tan theta. Okay, so if theta is increasing, so tan theta will be increasing, so therefore the slope is increasing. Okay, option A hivilajun atila theta 1 hisa abana jo theta 2. So tell me which one is greater, theta 1 or theta 2. So here you can see that theta 2 is greater than theta 1. Okay, so that means the slope is increasing in option A, so therefore the answer is option A. Okay, so slope increasing means velocity is increasing. So velocity is increasing means final velocity will be greater than initial velocity, so therefore acceleration will be positive. Okay, so we have one more question. So this is the last question. 2024 NEET question. So you're given a v versus t graph and they ask you to draw the acceleration versus time graph. Okay, so like you know, acceleration so dv by dt. Okay, so in a v versus t graph, acceleration is given by the slope. Okay, previous question also positive acceleration to negative acceleration kasi ta na. Okay, so now you see here. So suppose let's divide this a, b, c, and d. Okay, so from a to b. Okay, you see. So tell me, the slope is positive or negative? So here, if this is theta, so you can see that theta is less than 90. Okay, so that means it is positive. So slope positive. Vt graph as slope chupiham, so that means acceleration na. So that means acceleration is positive. Okay, now from B to C. B to C, you can see that the line is parallel to the x-axis. Okay, so that means the angle between them is 0. So slope is 0. A is 0. Okay, from B to C. So from C to D, so what is the angle here? So angle, you see, this is greater than 90. Okay, so that means you have a negative slope. Slope to negative. Okay, slope negative acceleration to negative. Okay, so now based on these three, so now you just check the option. First option here. So here initial part, you see, from A to B, so the line is parallel to x-axis. That means acceleration is given as 0. Acceleration is 0 first part. So that means the first is wrong. First option is wrong. Second option here. So here, see, from A, B, C, D. A part B ka chia, so A is some positive value. Okay, and then from B to C, you see A is 0. From C to D, A is some negative value. So that means it satisfies this whole thing. A part B to A to be some positive value, B part C to A to 0, C part D to A is some negative value. Okay, so that means this is your correct option. Okay, abana C to D so here also it doesn't satisfy. A part B to 0 kpia abana to some plus value kpia na A to negative so that means the last option is also wrong. Third option wrong here. So here you have 0. So here you have some negative value minus A, and here this is increasing. Okay, so it is wrong. Okay, so that much. So those four concepts that I taught you in the very beginning. Okay, let's go back here. In a x versus t graph, velocity is equals to the slope of line. In a v versus t graph, acceleration is equals to the slope of the line. And in a v versus t graph, distance is given by area under the curve, And last, in A versus T graph, so velocity is given by area under the curve. Okay, so those are 4 points you remember. So get comfortable. So I'll see you in the next video. Okay, thank you.